You're muted.
And I'm muted. I screwed everything up today. Sorry about that. I was lost because I completely forgot to start the
At least you're here.
I am here. So is the stream started? I think it should be. It looks like it is. I apologize for that. And then on top of that, I was muted. I'm sorry about that. Hi, everybody. Let me take this terrible, terrible spotlight off of me so we can see everyone. How y'all doing? How's everyone going? Hey, Ray. How's it going?
Well, you're having a good holiday?
Well, another one's starting tonight.
Yeah.
Another one is starting tonight. We got, us, us Jews never have too many days off. So we we had Rosh Hashanah 2 weeks ago, Yom Kippur this past Monday, and then tonight starts the holiday of Sukkot, which is an 8-day holiday, and then we've got Simchat Torah, which is the 9th day. It just never ends. Then we actually have then we're done for a little while. But you know what? Every Friday is a holiday here in the test kitchen. We should say a blessing or something.
Regardless of your faith or lack thereof.
Regardless, thank you. That's exactly right. Regardless of your faith or lack thereof.
Lewis, you were off. We could barely hear you.
Yeah, your mic is just a little far away.
Yeah, I was working this morning and cleared the area.
You cleaned it out.
I just moved everything to the side so I could
just moved everything.
focus.
Frank and Gerald and John, Mike, it's good to see all of you. So I have 4 things kind of on my list. And I really, if you all are open to it, I'd love to think together out loud about what is, maybe not what we're expecting from Zoomtopia, but what's the next thing for Zoom? Where does Zoom go next in their, both in their creativity and their technology and in their desire to become more than just the conferencing platform? What's next? We've had all the companies have Apple and Microsoft and Google. They've all had events recently. Canva has their event coming up next week, I think. And Zoom has their event next week. So in any case, that's something I'd love to jump into. But I do have a couple of updates, if that's okay, on things that so first of all, huddles. So if you remember last week, we took a look at huddles, and probably my biggest struggle with huddles was, how do I invite people in to, if I go off and I create a conversation, how do I get people to come join me? Well, the answer is you don't. That is not built in yet. That's not the way huddles is built as of right now. As of right now, it's imagined more like you may have a room that's, tech help, a conversation called tech help, and then people could just choose to go in there. There's no simple way right now to say, hey, Lois and Frank, come join me in this room. The only way to do that is to use a deep link. So you can grab a deep link to each conversation, and then you can message that to people. But again, that messaging is not really built into the huddles either. It lives in Zoom chat. So that is all stuff they're working on, but it's not there yet. And the only other, I'll give you one last update, Lois, and then I'll let you jump in. And that is, they're thinking a lot about the relationship between huddles and meetings. So when is a meeting a better tool? When is a huddle a better tool? And how do we transition from one to the other? So let's imagine that huddles are this persistent thing that live in your sidebar of your computer all day long. And then you jump into a team meeting somewhere, not outside of the huddle. You actually go into a meeting in Zoom. One of the things that they're wondering about is, okay, what happens when that meeting's over? Right now, when that meeting is over, you get a pop-up that says, hey, if you'd like, you can go back to the huddle. And we had office hours with them this past Wednesday, and we talked about, should that be the workflow, or should you just be pushed right back into the huddle? Is the idea that everyone is persistently in the huddle throughout their workday? Again, remember, they're talking about this for remote work teams. So it is, what I really took away from this past week is that it is still very much under development. I mean, this is, I would call this barely a beta, to be honest with you. This feels more alpha to me, but it's exciting. It's good stuff. I'm sorry, Lois, you wanted to jump in. I apologize.
No, I was listening very hard to what you were saying. And I'm sort of wondering, but then okay. I was wondering at the time, was a huddle a subset of a meeting like a breakout room? But then as you spoke, it sounds like a meeting is a subset of a huddle, and that's a bigger thing. When you say it's persistent, is it a new app or does one go through it, open a Zoom app and there it is? Or how do you get to a huddle?
So if you look in, let me share with you just what it looks like in my Zoom, what's it here. So this is just my Zoom application here. And you can see up at the top, I've got all the usual stuff: meetings, team chat, mail, calendar, contacts, and then there's a new tab called Huddles. Now, I can't go into that when I'm in a meeting, but your huddles are right here, and you can just join them. And when I say persistent, what I mean is that the idea is that they're persistent throughout the day. That doesn't mean that they are going to constantly be on your computer and open. But that's the idea behind them. They are the answer, if you will, to after hours. That's really what these are. I was actually sitting in after hours for a while yesterday, and no one was talking. There was nothing going on. And I was thinking to myself, that's precisely what Huddles is for. Just co-working, quiet co-working, and everyone can be doing their own thing. And then if there's a lab or a team meeting or just a conversation, then you can jump off and you can do that without having to create a whole meeting in order to do that. There are a couple of things that are different. So captions are available in Huddles. Recording is not available in Huddles. Right now, screen share is, if you want to use it, you have to get it enabled for Huddles. Someone has an open mic. I'm not sure who, but not anymore, I think. Thank you to Ray or whoever turned that off. So there's a basic screen share function, but you have to ask for them to turn it on. I haven't played with it yet. So there are still a number of differences between the two. And when I was speaking with the team, as they were thinking about, again, what's the difference between huddles and meetings, what I said to them from my incredibly limited perspective is that when I join a meeting, I don't have a lot of autonomy. Sure, I can turn my mic on and off, my camera on or off, but the host really can control that. They can shut me down, or they can bring me up on stage. With Huddles, it really is all about, I think, democratizing the experience, that you're just hanging out there. You can choose what conversation to go into. No one can pull you in. It's a different feeling, I think. One last thing, and then John, I see you there, that if you're, I didn't quite understand this, but if you're in, I believe one of the powerful ways to use Huddles is through the Zoom contact cards, because on your contact card, it will show if you're in a conversation. And then if I want to join you in that conversation, I can actually click somewhere on your contact card and it'll take me right to your conversation within that huddle. So they're still working out how you kind of navigate around, but that was one of the interesting pieces. John.
Thank you. I really want to ask the question that maybe I'm not allowed to ask, and that is, what are the apps that they think have a feature that they don't have in Zoom that they want to bring in, and how they want to do it? Because obviously not going to do it identical. So if we take, I don't know, something like Discord, what are the features in that particular app that they find would be useful as you say, as a persistent background to the working environment? What are they trying to do? Now, I know that companies don't like mentioning other people's products, but you really need to have that conversation, because that's the way that people, real humans who are outside the conversation are going to go, oh, I see. So it's like X, but it does it in the way of Y, or it's because as you say, I don't know if Huddles is a corporate world. So you take your office building and you chop it up into little bits and you make each one a huddle, or do you take the responsibilities of the marketing department, the accountancy department, and chop it up that way and make it in a huddle, or do you take the senior managers and make it in a huddle, or is the answer you have 3 sets of huddles all working in different directions for those groups?
Yeah. And I think all of that is unknown still. Zoom doesn't know that yet.
But I do love the fact that they are quite open to play effectively with this technology and find out. And that's why they tend to develop faster than anybody else, because they take the risk of saying, look, we've got this bit of code here. It does this. Where can we take it? And that's brilliant.
Yeah. They put out a blog post today about churn, and which I thought was interesting. And one of the things they talked about is how to avoid churn is to listen to your customers, take their feedback seriously. And the fact that any yuts like me can hop into office hours with the product lead of Huddles every Wednesday at noon is, I think, is fantastic. And, we can ask questions, we can give feedback, and, whether she'll listen to it or not is, I don't know, whether the team will listen or not is fantastic. I don't know, but I think you're right. I do want to say though that what do they want to include, what do they want to bring in that someone else has done? I immediately go to what is Zoom telling us are the essential apps. So if you go into your app section of Zoom, you can look at under essential, and they have a few here. They've got AI note taker. They've got Read is somewhere in here also. Coda, which is another meeting notes thing. And I have to think, now that we've got AI companion for Zoom, eventually, if they're able to make it good enough, which it isn't yet, I use it for every meeting, and it is not as good as it needs to be. But I imagine they're learning from AI note taker, they're learning from Coda, they're learning from Read, and they're trying to build that out. Actually, it looks like, 1, 2, AI note taking, Sesh, all of these essential apps. This is, now that I'm actually looking at it carefully, almost all of these essential apps. Look at this, AI note taker. That's the same thing as AI companion. Coda, meeting recaps, transcripts, recording from Read, Sesh, virtual meeting agenda, AI note taking. Yeah, there's a lot of this is stuff that they want to do.
Robert has notes on Huddle from Slack. He says, I know Huddle's from Slack. A huddle is like a meeting that's always running, so anyone in the team can just call the group and jump in. He says, in Slack, we use Huddle as a channel that is used to discuss something when we get back to work.
Yeah. There was actually an interesting discussion about Slack in this meeting, because a couple of the folks who were there brought up the fact that most, I'm not going to say most teams, many teams, every team that I work on does not use Zoom chat. We use Slack or Discord or something else. And it's not necessarily because Zoom chat isn't great, it's because it wasn't here, and these other tools have been around and they're more widely adopted, perhaps. But the need to, sorry about that, the need to integrate Zoom with these other apps, with other tools is really important. I'm not sure where this noise is coming from. Oh, I got something open on the other end. Hold on. Take over for a second.
Take over, he says. All right, we're going to have a revolution.
Bashful enough, Lois. Go ahead, take over.
No, we're going to have a revolution. What do you want to revolt about?
Wait, did I just come back to revolution? What happened? What did you do, John? What?
All it takes, David, is seconds. Seconds, I tell you.
Dear Lord.
Yes?
Yeah, we've hidden 3 of those radios in your room. We're going to turn them on one at a time.
Ay, ay, ay. So, in any case.
So when you say huddles, it's plural. Does that mean when you go in there that you create huddles and within that there are little subdivisions? Or is it like one meeting where everybody's in the same thing?
Yeah. Yes. So let me see if I can't open it up here and share this with you. Again, because I have no friends, it'll just be me in this meeting, in this huddle all by myself. But all right. So this is I'm just on a different computer. If I go into huddles, I'm going to go into my David's Fun Team huddle. So you can see I have 2 huddles here. Now this is going to go ahead and open it up, and it's going. Let me make sure it's muted. Yep. And so I'm the only one here right now, and it's interesting. It opened maximized, but I don't know if this would throw any of you, but this threw me for a loop. So when I usually think of the green. On Mac, at least, when I usually think of the green button up here, I usually think that it's going to make it full screen. That's not the way it works in huddles, nor does the yellow button minimize it into my dock. The way these work is the yellow button, it stages. So the yellow button moves it over to the side here. If I click the green button the first time, it's going to just bring it out and on my screen. Then if I click it a second time, it'll make it full screen. I got lost in huddles the first time because I didn't click this. I had it over here like this. I didn't click the green because I don't like making things full screen, and I didn't know how to get to anything. So in any case, here I am. I'm in a huddle now. I can now create a conversation. And it's going to as soon as I click that, it's going to immediately pop me into this conversation. Now on the right-hand side here, I'm going to see the lobby. That's where I was. I'm now in a conversation. Now I'm not going to be able to show you because conversations are anchored to the person who created them. So if I create a new conversation, the conversation that I'm in right now is going to disappear. The only thing that stays there forever is the lobby. So I'll go ahead and click new conversation. It's now putting me into a new conversation. And again, you'll see just the lobby over here. But if there were multiple conversations, I would be able to just click on them and jump into them. And again, I haven't seen this, but my understanding is that you can see over here who's in what conversation. Again, I can't do it now because there's only me in here, and you can see their video, like maybe a little thumbnail of their video is my understanding. So that's how you kind of navigate around it as of right now. I don't know if that answers. So yes, you've got the huddles are a huddle. The way Zoom is your office building. A huddle is your floor. And then conversations are the individual teams or desk mates or, whatever, client, reseller, meeting space.
The water cooler.
Yes. Or the office, the meeting office. So that's what.
Are your huddles public? In other words, if I said, ooh, that sounds interesting, could I go and find you, add you to my contacts, and then join your huddle?
No. Right now, huddles are only work within your business. So if you're not part of a business, if you're not part of a business account, you don't get huddles.
Okay.
Now, what I hope they will do is open that up and allow other, in the same way that they just made AI Companion available to anyone who has a paid plan. I hope that they'll do that for huddles. But again, this feels so young still.
Is that definition?
Well, maybe Frank knows.
Is that definition by the email address at so-and-so company.com? How do they determine that you're an insider or an outsider?
Well, Zoom has a list of, I mean, if I were to go into my account, not all of the email addresses are at my business. Some of them are outside of my business, but I've associated those Zoom accounts with my business. So no, you don't have to share the same email address, but I guess somehow Zoom just knows who's, you know, if you're logged into your client, presumably that's how they would know.
Robert, again, it says in a very simplistic way, think of a huddle as a breakout room that stays open even after the meeting is over. The meeting is an office department. The huddle is the place where a specific topic is called. Jason says Zoom calls it guest. Is guest or not on account? I don't understand, Jason. Is guest on, not on account?
Or not on account. Can have different email in same account. Yes, you can have a different email in the same. So there's no such thing as guests with business accounts. I don't think. It shows when you run an attendance report. So again, this is not people that I invite to my meeting or my huddle. This is only accounts. I'm sure that, you know, Frank has 10,000 of these or something. No, it's an enterprise or EDU account or so. You must have like thousands.
Oh, yeah, 30,000, but not huddles. We don't even have huddles yet.
No, understood. But I'm saying, but all of your students or whoever, business people, whatever, they're all
tens of
part
thousands.
of your, they're all part of your business.
Yes.
And now, but do they all have, at your domain? Is that how it works for you? It does. For me, it doesn't. I'm not. Because I have a few different businesses that I work with that I'm using in this business account, and
we actually reserved a bunch of domains so that people can't fire up Zoom accounts on. We protected a bunch of domains and subdomains so that people can't fire up new Zoom accounts on things that are affiliated with us.
Interesting. Yeah, John has 3 domains as users. Yep.
Is huddles free?
Well, as of right now, yeah. That's another good question, though, right? Will this be one of those things that that you have to pay for? If I had to guess, boy, I'm really just guessing. I mean, business plans are already you're paying, you're giving Zoom quite a bit of money. Not to minimize the amount of time and effort that they're having to put into this, but I think I'd be a little surprised if you had to pay extra for huddles. But
a reminder, on Tuesday and Wednesday next week is Zoomtopia. If you haven't registered yet to be a virtual participant, you can do so online. And I suggest that a lot of this is going to be revealed.
I hope so. But I got to tell you, Ray, when did they talk about huddles? Was it just this past spring or was it last year? I forget.
Yeah, I don't remember.
When they sort of announced it. It feels like it was a while ago. And again, not understanding any of the technology behind it, feels like not a lot hasn't gotten very far. And by the way, sorry, just going back to John, what you were saying before about borrowing from other or learning from other apps or companies. We also I talked with them about how they looked at apps like Wonder.me and Spatial.chat, all of these sort of spatially aware meeting alternatives to Zoom, where you can move yourself around the room, and as you get closer to someone, you can hear them, and as you move away from them, you can't hear them, which are they're fun. I mean, I think they're kind of ingenious. I've signed up for all of them and never used any of them because Zoom is just, it's what everyone knows. It's easy, it's reliable. But if they can learn from, I would actually love to see something like that. I'd love to see a more intuitive huddle type space where you can, I wonder if I could show you. There's one of the ones that I used to use actually shut down, and it wasn't sessions. What was it? And it suggested that we go to a new one, and I actually really liked it.
Wasn't Makana, was it?
No, it's not Mukana. No. I don't think I'm going to remember it now, but that's okay. No.
Does anybody else use anything other than huddles? What do you use instead? Use Slack?
I'm on Slack and Discord.
I use Discord more than anything. In fact, lately I've been using Discord video chat as it's excellent.
Yeah.
In our use cases, well, it depends on the situation. It depends on the type of meeting it is. We would go into something that we built in-house, or we would do Zoom, topic related or private related.
You got some funky audio going on over there. Is that just me that hears that? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's very flattering to your voice, but it's kind of robotic.
Interesting. Okay.
Sounds like your bandwidth is constrained or something.
Is that Frank? Is that when that happens? Could that be what's causing it? I mean, lots of people complain about that and have this issue.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Mike's a pretty smart guy, though, when it comes to networking, so it's kind of odd that he'd have a networking issue.
Yeah, I check.
Well,
Sounds like the microphone thinks your background noise and is ignoring you.
It does sound kind of like really aggressive noise suppression or something.
okay. I don't know what this is, but I just joined it. Hold on. Where am I?
You're joining, David.
It's called Oh Yay. And I'm sitting around a fire with two other people.
I'm feeling warmer already.
I don't,
It's a metaphor, sitting around the campfire.
I honestly don't know and now it's killed my RAM. Okay. So we'll get rid of that. What do you say? Oh my goodness.
I thought skeuomorphism was dead.
Is it?
I don't know. I thought it was out of vogue after Apple kind of killed it in the 10 years ago. Seems like a lot of these other competitors are trying to bring it back with virtual lobbies with little tables and fire pits and, all looking for that special metaphor.
Yep. All right. I'm not going to keep searching for this, but they're working on a lot of stuff. Speaking of stuff that they may be working on or may want to spend a little more time on, I don't know if you all saw, but Jamboard is shutting down from Google. I love Jamboard. And my first thought was, because what they did is they listed, let me see if I can find the email. They listed 3 alternatives, essentially. Leave huddle. Sorry, I have to get out of that huddle. Let me find that email that we got. Sorry, I should have had it up already. Zoom blog, no. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It was Jamboard.
So according to Google's searching Google about Jamboard closing, it will be no longer available from December 31st, 2024 across web, iOS, Android, and Google Meet devices. Your Jam data will be available for you to export or migrate to one of the whiteboard partners like FigJam, Lucid Spark, and Miro.
So those are the 3 that they suggested. And I don't know. My first thought was, wow, Zoom has put a lot of time into their whiteboard. I wonder, number one, I wonder why Google is killing it, because honestly, I really think it's a good product. Yes, killed by Google. I know. And yeah, this past Wednesday was their 25th anniversary, wasn't it? I think.
Never trust Google for anything that you need long range, because you never know when they're going to kill it. So
Yeah.
for education or business, terrible.
Except if you're paying for something. I feel like I pay for Google Workspace, and I feel like because I'm giving them money, it's a little safer than just using Gmail.
I'm sure Gmail's safe, but I mean, Google's not afraid to launch any initiative, but will they stay with it more than 4 years? Who knows, right?
Right. So I haven't used FigJam. I haven't used Lucid Spark. I've used Miro, and I found it very full-featured, but for me, a little overwhelming. I don't know. I want. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
Are all of those paid services? And Jamboard was not.
No, you're the product for Google, so you don't usually have to pay. But I don't know if this Killed by Google site is up to date, but there's over 289 things they've launched and killed. It's very disconcerting if you need something that you have to rely on long term.
And sometimes they'll launch something and then morph it into something else and change the name. So you sort of follow along the ocean wave. So
I think with in answer to your question, Lois, like with Miro, for example, they all have free tiers, and then you can go up and get more.
Microsoft has a whiteboard too. I mean, lots of companies have whiteboard.
Right. But so here's one of the things I was thinking about. Is it Jamboard? Well, no, that's not true actually. Sorry. What I was thinking is that Jamboard was a standalone product. It wasn't built into Google Meet. It could be used with Google Meet, I assume. I never used Google Meet. But it wasn't a part of, whereas Zoom's whiteboard was born out of Zoom meetings. And so I guess what I was wondering is, is the future of tools that they're going to be more integrated with one another than standalone, which is the way Google usually does it. John, go ahead.
Definitely. The one interesting thing about the growth of AI is it's pushed a lot of companies to deal more with APIs. And yeah, I certainly think the world is connected now. You don't have to be, if you want to dominate the desktop like Zoom wants to, that's fine. But for a lot of companies now, the secret is to narrow down on a market niche that you're really good at, and then use APIs to go into all other apps so you can feed the data in and out. Then you don't have to be an expert in all the other fields. You can let other apps do it.
Zoom is sort of doing Zoom is creating the API and then giving the API out to others. It's not sinking its tentacles into others. It's allowing others to sink their testicles in their. Did I just?
Yes, you did.
Sorry.
It's all right. The AI companion caught it.
Wow. Okay. Sink their tentacles into it. Oh my God. From around the world, people are not laughing at me. Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you for the
Friday.
Thank you
It's
for the
fun.
publicity.
It's fun Friday.
And we just had Yom Kippur. I already did my apologies, so now I'm kind of screwed for the rest of the year. Is Zoom trying to master the desktop? Last week, someone, I don't remember who, maybe it was me, brought up the idea of, Zoom Docs or Zoom Sheets or Zoom. Is that where Zoom is going?
Well, it doesn't need to go to that level, does it? It's a communications platform. I like the idea of huddles, especially if they get the AI working, because then you'll be able to have short meetings and you'll get the notes immediately, and then you put them somewhere else. That works really well. As a communications device. I mean, Huddles is saying to you, you're going to stay on the desktop because you showed us, you click on the button and it doesn't disappear. It goes to the side and says, I'm still here. But the fact that they've given a very, very comprehensive API means that other products can communicate with them. I do a lot of events and I have to do the front end marketing for them as well. So I use a marketing database and I use an API. I have a website with Gravity Forms, which is a very flexible form. So I can create any type of form I like. That API goes into my database. The API books the people into Zoom. Zoom comes back and gives me the log-on details so I can send out all the details of the meeting or the event myself. I don't even have to let the Zoom emails automatically do it for me. I can do it myself on my own schedule. And each little product does its bit, and then its API passes the message on to the next. And it's transformed the amount of work I can do. And of course, then we've got that second API, haven't we? Because when you run a meeting, you've got all these APIs in Zoom, so you can get Zoom to do stuff for you with Stream Decks and other software. And sorry, I'm a bit of a boast about this. I have done 6 presentations in the last week about APIs and AI and Zoom.
Mike's off.
Sorry, I know, I saw it. Your big takeaway, your big message, the message that you wanted to leave everyone with was?
You don't need to rely on one company and app. Now in this AI world and this API world, you can take the best of what you need and integrate them together and give you the most suitable product for your own use as a user. As a company, you can do the same thing. You can create the best of something, dominate a niche, and then let everybody else connect with you.
And if I have to rely on 6 or 7 companies instead of just one to do my work, doesn't that give me 6 or 7 times as much risk that something will go wrong? It's like I see all these guys with all this microphones connected here and going there and whipping around the other thing. And half the time, well, not half the time, maybe 1/10 of the time, their mouth isn't the same as their sound. And it's like, if you just had one thing, you could fix it, but it takes a half an hour to figure out what's wrong. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit of a pessimist here, but I'm glad it's working for you, John. I'm very glad.
No, Lois, you make a very good point. Very good point. And the counter to that is something like Production Studio is a simplified version of the complexity. So that's a good product to come in. And the answer to the other side of it is I would take the contrary view. If one of the products that I'm using stops working, I can just replace it with another contact management or another whatever it does product, and I can reconnect all the others and carry on.
And I say I'm glad it's working for you.
Of course, the problem with having all of your eggs in one basket is that if that basket fails, then you've got nothing, right? Whereas with a lot of these, I'm if this computer were to die, I have another one. If this mic were to die, I've got an alternative. So sometimes I think having lots of companies or lots of products is in some ways it could be safer because it's not too big to fail, or too big that if it fails, then you're really in trouble. Let me just show you, because we've been talking about when the AI gets good, and then we've got some comments from YouTube that I'll bring in. But let me just so this is a 2-hour consultation I did yesterday with someone, and this is the meeting summary that Zoom sent me. So Mochi, language, Paskin, and Slinky discussed. So this first paragraph, I had music playing. I must have had music playing because I don't know what this is. It doesn't make any sense. Oh no, you know what it was? I know now. I remember there was one of my kids from my school was in here and he was playing with a Slinky. So before the meeting started. After that, it's not terrible. The gentleman I was speaking to, his name is Grover. We discussed technical issues related to using Zoom and Ecamm for virtual show he was preparing for. He did indeed have an issue with Grover with his camera not being turned on in Zoom. And then it really tears apart the entire meeting. So the new features, I told him about Keynote supporting 3D models, the scenes that we were building, motion and visual, shapes and overlays. Not all the details are correct, but it did a pretty darn good job of outlining the meeting. Could I rely on this for meeting notes? Absolutely not. In its current state, it's not nearly correct enough. But I think it's exciting. I think it's an exciting beginning, and I have to wonder if this little edit button at the bottom here isn't the beginnings of like a Zoom Docs, right? That now this is sort of a document here in Zoom that I can edit. I don't know. I wonder if that's the beginning of something.
I've long believed that they want to get into the Office, replacing Google Voice, Google Sheets, and Google Docs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing that we just looked at, what is its name, and is it integrated or is it an add-on?
No, so this is called AI Companion, and if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you should see it there. At least I see it there. Do you have that there? No. So did I not start it? John is asking me to start it. Oh, for some reason I hadn't started it. I don't know why. Let me just see here.
I've got captions, but that's all.
Yeah, who can ask questions? All participants only from when they join. Okay. So let's play with this for a second. So let me open this up so you all can see this. So you don't have this AI companion on the bottom, Lois? Do you happen to be on a paid Zoom plan?
Yes, but it's your meeting, so what difference would that make?
Well, because I think, does anyone else have it at the bottom, or is it just me? Yeah, other people do have it. Maybe you're not up to, maybe your client isn't up to date. I'm not sure.
I think I'll check out and come back, but
Well,
I have it auto updating. It should be doing fine.
So this is, you can turn this on in the back end.
There is.
Yeah. So you can turn this on in the back end, and once you turn it on, it should be at the bottom for everyone. And I'm not sure why I didn't have it turned. I think actually I have the summary turned on, but I don't think I had the in-meeting companion stuff turned on. So when you open it up, let me go ahead and close these so we have a better view of it.
I'll be right back.
Yep, absolutely. So here is AI. Here's the little AI companion box that pops up when you click it at the bottom. I do have, as the host, I have a few options here, which I can't show you right now. But one is basically who can ask questions to AI companion. That's the prompt that I have, and I can say all participants only from when they join, and only hosts. And I have checked by default only participants only from when they join. I'm not really sure why. That must have to do with if you do pre-registration. Maybe people could ahead of time. So in any case, here's if I do. I don't know. Let's try Catch Me Up. So it's sort of a chat with AI companion. And so what it wrote is, during the meeting, the Zoom test kitchen host realizes they forgot to start the meeting and apologizes for the delay. Perfect. They discussed I wonder if it's going to have my other little mistake in there. They discussed the AI companion feature and how it appears at the bottom of the screen. They also mentioned that the availability of this feature may depend on the Zoom plan and the client software version. The host explains the options for who can ask questions. Okay, so this just started from when I turned it on. So if, okay, so that's Catch Me Up. I can click Catch Me Up again. And now it actually made it shorter. I'm not sure why. All right, so how do I now go back to, here we go. Was my name mentioned? Yes, Zoom Test Kitchen's name was mentioned because that's, my name is Zoom Test Kitchen. What topics were discussed? And it gives me a list. The topics discussed so far are starting the meeting and the delay in starting it, AI companion feature, yada, yada, yada. And then what are the action items? There is no mention of any action items after the meeting in the given meeting transcript. So this is looking at the transcript for when you enable it, and it's using AI to pull this stuff out. And this is separate from the meeting summary.
So I just typed in, was Lois mentioned? And it says, yes, Rita was mentioned in the meeting transcript.
And I asked if I was mentioned, and it said no, because it was doing the full name that is appearing on my little square, and that wasn't mentioned. But if I had put in Lois, it probably would have found it.
So I just put in.
In mine, it said Ray who.
Sorry, Ray. John, what is your, wait a second. I want to try something here. John Drinkwater. So I'm going to type in, so I already asked it, was John, is John mentioned? And it said yes. So what did John Drinkwater say? Now, because it's reading John Drinkwater did not say anything in the given meeting transcript. That's interesting. What did Zoom Test Kitchen say? Zoom Test Kitchen said, I had the summary turned on, but I don't think I had the in-meeting companion stuff turned on. So that it grabbed a direct quote from me.
Ray, did you really say mine it? Said Ray, who?
It's really interesting.
I asked that somebody mentioned some anatomical part today.
And
it says no, was not mentioned in the meeting transcript.
That's
yes,
only because
I asked for the actual word. It wasn't recording at that time,
guys,
fortunately
really,
for him. So
really,
it's not there.
Come on now, throw me a bone. Oh my gosh,
It wasn't doing the word conversion at that point, so you are safe.
Maybe that's why I hadn't turned it on yet.
So
I'm just trying to reassure David, you know.
Thanks, Tasman.
Just so you know, I do have the AI companion here. I have turned it on, and it's only talking to me. I'm not seeing what anybody else is saying. It doesn't do any of that stuff. It's just talking to me.
It comes up for me like another chat window, right? So here's my meeting chat, and then here's my kind of AI companion chat window, if you will. Well, let's leave it on for a while, and then we can keep typing into it. Thank you for prompting me to open that. I have it set so that all of my meetings will automatically have a transcript. I didn't realize that you had to turn the companion on for in-meeting work. Here's what I see with Catch Me Up. Meeting so far discussed it. Starting the meeting and yeah. Let's keep going, and because I want to see if it's gonna. I mean, obviously it'll have a longer transcript, so it'll have more to work with.
What is interesting is I'm suspicious that people have the reports only from the point they hit the AI companion button, because we all have different solutions to what's happened in the meeting.
Well, yes, but remember I said, and I'm sorry that I can't show this to you, but there's I have So the three options are who can ask questions to AI Companion? The two options or the three options I have is one is all participants. Okay. The second is all participants only from when they join. And so I guess I have it set to all participants now, not from just when they join. I wonder if that means that you can, it will.
Yes, but is that from when they joined the meeting or from when they joined AI Companion by pressing the button? That's what because if everybody hit catch me up and we all put into the chat the results, I think we'd find different answers for different people.
So if I turn it on, is it on? If I enable it, is it on for everyone, or is it only on for you when you click the AI Companion button at the bottom?
That's what I'm curious about, because people are putting catch me up and getting different answers.
David, for me, it wasn't on until I actually clicked on it.
Can you repeat that, Mike? We couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm still working on my audio issues. Let me try to look at that. So basically what happened with me is that it only started with me. The AI Companion portion only started with me when I actually clicked on it. That's why I got what I was able to send you guys on the screen.
I'm having a terrible time hearing you. I'm so sorry.
And the meeting AI just complained about this guy named Mike.
It's got
In this
confused
meeting,
now 'cause
Mike
it
had
thinks
terrible
Mike needs a
audio.
new mic.
It is definitely going back to the beginning, because the first thing that I did was complain about and apologize for starting late. So it's going back to the beginning. It's again the catch me up. This is not. It looks like it's not going to be a long, detailed list of what of what happened. This is going to be the goal, I believe, of this is you've come into a meeting late. Tell me in 2 seconds what I've missed.
But it's different for each of us, because I'm reading what's in the chat, and that's not the same thing as it gave me when I said catch me up.
I thought
Right.
the AI read the transcript and summarized the transcript.
I'm going to leave, come back again, and see if your assumption is correct.
I just put what I just got in. There were no action items mentioned in the meeting transcript. Huh.
That seems to be more evidence that it's summarizing the transcript, because it said there was nothing mentioned in the meeting transcript, right?
Yeah. Well, what would be the alternative, Frank?
It could be listening and synthesizing, I guess, but I mean, that would be redundant, right? It's already doing a transcript, even if you don't request it.
Right, the transcript really is listening, and
I think it's text-based, right? Like, in the database of this meeting, before it creates the final transcript, it's analyzing what's happening as it happens, right? Like, as the transcript gets longer, it has more to analyze, right?
Right. It certainly is doing that for the meeting summary that it sends us.
But it stands to reason it started that on its own. It just, you're going to get in at the point you got in, because it's going to have to report the whole meeting at some point, right?
Right. Yeah, of course. You're absolutely right. But yeah, the catch me up feature won't do any good if it isn't paying attention from the beginning. That you're right.
So I left, I came back. I'm looking at the closed caption view full transcript. I'm only seeing what happened since I was here and looked at it. I have not seen anything from AI Companion, but I don't know how I could unless I actually clicked on AI Companion.
No, you won't. So if you open up AI Companion now and then you click on Catch Me Up, I wonder if it's, so you said your transcript is only from when you joined the meeting?
Yes, the view
Okay,
full
so-
transcript, just tiny little bit.
So what does Catch Me Up say?
During the meeting, the host realized they'd forgotten to start the meeting and apologized for the delay. They discussed the AI Companion, etc.
Yeah.
It
So
looks
you're
very similar to
getting
the other.
Yeah, so it's synthesizing not the transcript that you see, it's synthesizing the entire transcript.
For the
even though-
summer.
yeah.
the
Well, and
summer.
that's and that's interesting that you only get the partial transcript, but you get the full summary.
And the chat is gone, of course.
Yeah.
I can't see what people put in there as to what they saw in the summary. So, okay.
I believe Zoom has announced that, you know how if you join a meeting late, you don't see what's in the chat? I
Yeah.
believe that's going to change soon-ish, and you'll be able to see everything, whether you were there at the beginning of the meeting or not.
Do you think that would?
That will be interesting.
Yeah. Do you think that would be for everyone or just for registered people who registered for a particular meeting?
I think it'll be for anyone who joins the meeting.
You think anyone who joins? Okay. I'm asking only because I feel like, again, I almost never do registration for meetings.
Mhm.
You could argue that that's bad form on my part, but that's what I do. And there's a piece of me that always worries that I'm missing out on some of the tools that would be available to me if I had people registering ahead of time. Maybe I'm not.
How do I create an action item? Because it says we haven't had any.
What do you-
Your action item, Lois, is to make some tea.
Maybe where you are. I go with ice water. Thank you.
Would you now like to ask if Companion has made a note of that?
I'm doing that right now. Are there any action items? No. So let me tell you what I need you to do. Ray, what I need you to do is to make a flyer, please, for the next Zoom test kitchen. And please make sure to send that to me on Discord. Are there any action items? We may be asking it to do it a little too quickly.
And it said Ray who?
Oh, that's interesting. You have to. Okay.
I'm kidding, Dick.
No. Oh, you're kidding. I thought you were being serious.
Lois has been asked to make tea. That's the first action item on our list.
Wait, you see it?
Yes.
Oh.
And then Ray has asked to create a flyer for the next Zoom test kitchen and send it to the speaker on Discord.
Okay. There you go. So it's not just to do; it's to do, or it's. I would be curious actually to know what those keywords are that it's listening for. Yeah.
John, I want you to make me a cup of tea. And Joe, would you like to make cookies this time?
I can see this being abused. That's fantastic. So now let me click it again. I wonder how long it takes to
Longer than that.
yeah, not yet.
It was pretty fast for me.
Was it?
It's got Lois's stuff on there.
No, I just have T and Ray Franklin request. I don't have numbers 3 and 4 yet. Do you have numbers 3 and 4?
I think you have to trigger it again. No, I'm still on 1 and 2, but still
no,
pretty
yeah,
fast.
So, yeah, 3 and 4 haven't come in yet.
You don't really need the action items till the meeting's over anyways, right?
Right. Mobile Earn Africa. First of all, who are you? Oh, it's you. Asmik.
Mobile ARN.
I'll change it now. I assume for this AI to work, you have to have transcription on. Is that correct?
I don't know. It's a really good question. Let's turn it
It
on.
is
and find out.
on, but no, for that. It's necessary.
How do I turn it off?
I don't think you can once you've let people request it.
Oh, maybe you can't.
Hey, Joe, you got those cookies ready?
I don't know how it works, so I'm not going to pretend I know how it works, but maybe transcription's running for every meeting with AI. And then when the meeting's over, if the host didn't request transcription, it purges the transcription but keeps the AI summary. Because Zoom's been very sensitive about privacy and all the concerns people have about the AI and how is the AI being used. So maybe, I don't know, like we'd need a Zoom engineer to come explain how it works on the back end, but I could see a scenario where the transcription's always happening even if you didn't request it, but then it purges the transcript because you didn't request it. But it gives you the meeting summaries through the AI. I don't know.
And by the way,
so
I still just have two action points. I just have the lowest to make tea and raise one. And
Maybe
none of the others
there's-
have been seen.
Maybe there's a phrase you have to invoke. Like Lois may not have said it the way David said it.
And it may be that only the host or co-host can request action.
It's possible. Or maybe there's a phrasing you have to put in front of an action item.
Lois, I need you to make me some cookies after this meeting, please.
What kind of cookies did you want?
I prefer chocolate chip, please.
Chocolate chip cookies. Okay.
Yes.
Tony,
By the way,
could
sorry.
you make some chocolate chip cookies, please?
Maybe you have to say the words action item.
Action.
No, I didn't say action item before. I said I need you to,
Okay.
or to do. But Lois, you're saying you're being much nicer than I am, and I maybe that's why it's not listing that. You're saying,
Please.
Lois requested David to inspect her cookies. What?
This shows the best show we've ever had.
Oh my, no. Lois Richter is asked to make cookies. That's what I have. Wait a second. What? Jason, did yours says Lois requested David to inspect her cookies?
It's got better. It's got better.
I asked you what kind of cookie you want.
Right. And then, okay, so John now has Lois Richter is asked to make cookies, and number 4, Lois Richter is asked to make chocolate chip cookies. So that's interesting that it wasn't able to, it's not smart enough to go back and change it to Lois Richter's asked to make chocolate chip cookies. It added that as a second.
Yeah, I think this is a ChatGPT issue as much as Zoom, but it's like all the other AI things, isn't it? It's looking interesting, but it's not there yet.
Mine does not say anything about chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, mine doesn't either, John. You're the only one so far that,
I was just trying to get out of making the cookies for everybody.
I read somewhere this week in one of the Zoom blogs that they don't use ChatGPT. They created their own large language model. Like I can't remember what it's called, but
Okay, so interestingly enough, then I've just done it again, and I know I showed you 4 items, but it's back down to 2 again.
really?
Iterate.
Yeah.
It does iterate as it goes on. Yes.
And I just asked it to catch me up. I clicked the catch me up button, and I'll put in the chat what I got, but the last sentence is there are no action items mentioned in the meeting transcript.
you know what would be interesting for you to do is tell Ray that the action item to cancel the flyer is now not required and see if it removes it.
But
Ray,
it already did.
I'm just wondering if it'll update if action items change or get removed as the meeting goes on. If you say, yeah, that's a terrible idea, we don't need a flyer, action item, don't make the flyer, Ray.
right. There you go. Done.
But
Action item, don't make the flyer. Unaction item.
But the question is, if Frank says it, does it happen or not? Because he's not a co-host.
Yeah, it must be Lois, because I asked you, didn't I? And I don't.
Yeah, and I asked you. I ask everybody.
I asked you to make the tea, and it put it on the list. So
Are you a co-host?
no, I'm nothing.
Oh, you're just authoritative. Okay.
That would be interesting if only the host or co-host was able to trigger certain AI, because it knows who's speaking and it knows who's host or co-host. That's actually a really interesting option.
I think we need to find out what the keywords are that does it. Because if I say, Ray, would you please take a picture of those beautiful birds outside your window? That's got a please in it, and it's a request.
Right.
And
That's a would you please. You're right.
yeah. and that may be different than, let's see, who can I pick on? I haven't picked on Mike yet. Mike, would you please swap your microphone around? Now, see, that's a would you please?
Swap that around.
You know what? You know,
I
another
think I'm too polite.
another piece that down the road could be really powerful is to also integrate into this chat.
Stop the mic. Listen to this.
Lois
I
asked
said,
Mike
what
to
did
swap
Lois
his
ask
microphone
Mike?
around.
And that was the answer.
That's pretty good.
But was it an action item?
It is not an action item, and now I'm back to 2 also.
Mhm. We were at 4.
Did the flyers get removed?
No.
No.
That one's still there, but the cookies are gone.
Frank, make cookies for next meeting, please.
You know, I wonder if, yeah, Jason is making it, but it's fun, but it also makes an excuse to join a meeting late. Actually, I would argue it doesn't, because it's the only thing this is, right, John, the only thing this has proven to me is that it's not quite ready for prime time yet. And I don't blame Zoom for that. I think that AI I mean, what we're seeing here is AI at its best, right? This is, you know, where it is right now.
Plus, we wouldn't get the cookies.
And we didn't get cookies.
No, if he didn't join till late, he wouldn't know. He wouldn't be on the list to get cookies.
Well, integrate with DoorDash and maybe we'll all get a package of cookies in the
There you
next
go.
20 minutes. Who's paying for them, though? That's what I want to know.
Interestingly, I asked what are the action items. It doesn't have any numbers now, and it's down to a very small thing. It says the action items after the meeting are to make cookies and to swap microphones around.
We have a couple of things to catch up on. Mike has done a swap of something sort with his ATEM to check his mic. Mike, can we hear you, Mike?
Sure. Here I am.
Oh,
Am I
yes.
better now?
Yes,
You are
congratulations.
better
You got
Technology
much better,
is
much-
so unbelievable.
Better, but I don't think you sound the way you normally sound in these
Okay.
meetings.
And the other
Right.
patient person is Tony Mobley, who joined us with a question. At least that's what he said a half hour ago in YouTube.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry, Tony.
No problem. No problem. Can you guys hear me?
Volume's very low, Tony.
It's very low. Interesting.
Yep.
So let me turn it up. Is that
You're
better?
down around minus 40.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Thanks for
3.
Hasmith to keep the meter going.
Yeah, very
Your
handy.
mic.
Thank you.
That may not be the mic you're on, Tony.
Rub it. Yeah. Well, so.
That's not the mic you're on.
I would just like to point out that that was Frank who said what he just said.
What did I say? I didn't say anything bad.
But you told him to rub it. I'm just,
Oh.
I mean, I don't
You're just trying to deflect from your earlier.
Is 3 earlier. I've been counting.
All right. While we're waiting for who are we waiting for? Are you?
One,
How
two,
are you
one,
doing
two,
over there,
one, two.
Tony? Are you good to go?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Go ahead. Just
that
yell.
It's
Just
very
yell.
low.
You can hear him all the way from Georgia.
I'm hearing a hum too.
Okay. So, yeah, because it's all the way up. This I normally don't have to do that. Let me look.
You're at minus
Something's
39.
wrong.
We're going to let you do a test on the Zoom entry window, and we'll get back to you, Tony.
Okay.
Just have one last update that I made a note about, and that is, I don't know if it was here or somewhere else, but I mentioned somewhere that one of the main reasons that I got a business account is that I wanted Q&A in meetings. Again, this is one of those things that I really wanted, and I immediately turned on, and I've never used. I've literally never used Q&A in a meeting, but I love having it. But there was, and Frank, I think you were the one who told me that I wasn't crazy, that this was happening, that when I update my Zoom client, Q&A disappears from my meetings. And the
so-
only way to get it back is to go in to schedule a meeting. In that scheduled meeting, turn on Q&A and then cancel it, and then it comes back, and it happened again.
I have a ticket open about this, and they told me, they confirmed that something's happening, and they made me fill out a feature request. But basically, a lot of my meetings, I use instant meetings. So in scheduled meetings, if you turn on Q&A, it shows up no problem. And before this week, the Q&A tool would also show up in instant meetings if it was allowed globally on the account, and if you had it turned on in your personal account settings, which I did. And then this week, Q&A did not show up in my instant meetings, and I verified all the account settings, and they were correct. So I opened a ticket, and I had to take screenshots and do whatever. But finally, the support agent agreed that the behavior has changed, and then I asked for it to be reinstated, and I had to make a business case for why it should be reinstated. So it's off to the engineers, and we'll see if Zoom has about 8 million things they have to fix, or improve. So it'll be in there somewhere.
But are you saying this? Are you saying this isn't a bug? It was intentionally turned off. That it's not persistent?
I don't know why it changed. I just know that the functionality changed in the last week, and I've asked for it to be reinstated because I find Q&A very useful in instant meetings. If it's good for a scheduled meeting, why wouldn't it be good for an instant meeting? So
right.
I don't know if it's an oversight or some programming issue. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not. But I've submitted a feature request asking for it to be reinstated.
And I think that, and John, I do see your hand. I think the reason I think it's a bug is that we're able to get it back again, and the way that we get it back again is this weird cockamamie thing of you schedule a fake meeting, and then using your PMI, using your personal meeting identifier, and then all your instant meetings have it again. Or all of my
PMIs are weird, though. The rules that apply to normal meetings don't always apply to PMI meetings. There's differences. I almost never use PMIs for a bunch of reasons, and the PMI workflow is different than the regular scheduled or instant meeting workflows. There's functions that you can't use in PMIs, or they work differently.
Right. So let me just pull up. So here's my personal room. And you can see that I've got Q&A options. So in my personal meeting room, which is where I do all of my meetings, you can see I've got Q&A turned on and request permission to unmute. I always keep these two on. When I update these, for whatever reason, even though they're turned on, I don't have either of them in my instant meetings, in my PMI meetings, until I do that weird scheduling thing. So
I'm always reading the support documentation from Zoom, and there's always exceptions or differences between what I consider traditional meetings and PMI meetings. So you always have to go check and see if it works the same way in a PMI meeting.
Based on the fact that I have these options here, the fact that I'm allowed to say, yes, I want Q&A in David Passing's personal meeting rooms, to me, that says I should have Q&A in my personal meeting rooms. So,
and I have it turned on for my personal global account settings for my personal account, and it doesn't show up anymore in instant meetings. So
I'd be curious for you to schedule a fake meeting using your PMI, and then I bet you the next time you start an instant meeting, I bet you in your PMI, it'll be there.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah.
Is it something that might show up in the security shield where you can turn on and off different things? Because you're permitting the host to do it, but it doesn't say the host has to do it. Is it in the shield is the question.
No, it's along the bottom. You've got AI companion, you've got record, polls, quizzes, and then Q&A is in there.
And
also.
In the shield, you do not have the ability to permit or not permit participants to do microphones, et cetera, et cetera.
There is an enable Q&A there.
There is.
But
Okay,
there is, but that is only there because Q&A is enabled globally. And that is to say, that wouldn't show up there if it wasn't available in the meeting, because the Q&A button at the bottom isn't there. Once I go in, I schedule the meeting, and then I join an instant meeting, the button at the bottom is there, and then I also have that option in the Shield.
I imagine
So
it's
right now in the Shield, you could go and turn off Q&A and it would disappear from all our screens, right?
or stop it. Yeah.
I just
And
turned
he
it
just
off.
did it, and it's gone.
I would
Right.
imagine that's there because a Zoom bomber or someone who's a jerk could put racist comments in Q&A just as easily as they could put them in chat, right?
Well, that, and also I was in a meeting the other day where they were using the Q&A, and actually it was a webinar, and they didn't want the Q&A open during the presentation, so they disabled it, and then when it was time for Q&A, they opened it up.
But you don't need to go into security to do that. You can do that from the regular Q&A controls as a host, right?
No, when I click on Q&A when I click on the Q&A button, I get what pops up is the Q&A box. So, and there is no little arrow next to Q&A.
What about the gear?
Let's click on the gear. No, these are the settings. So I've got participants can submit questions.
Maybe it changed.
And then allow participants to view answered questions only or all questions.
Well, we're earning the Test Kitchen moniker today.
Yeah. Yeah. John, sorry, you've been waiting really patiently. I apologize.
No, that's fine. No problem at all. I have a little observation for the kitchen as well. I've been mad enough, as you know, to upgrade, and I now have the ability of backstaging webinars. But the request permission to unmute panelists is disabled and not available if you use Backstage. So if you have a practice session in webinar, you can request permission to unmute panelists. If you choose to run Backstage, you lose the option to request permission to unmute panelists.
Can you maybe say that one more time? I'm not sure.
Okay, so we're all aware that you can request permission to unmute panelists, so you can unmute them without them being requested on their screen. So you can just unmute panelists and they can speak. If you decide you want to use the Backstage feature, that option is taken away from you.
Wonder why.
Is that different, or has it always been that way?
Well, Backstage has only just turned up, so I never
For you,
know.
I mean, but
Yeah.
Backstage has
So
been
I
around
don't
for a long
know.
time.
So
I
I
just
don't
don't
know.
use it enough to know.
Why? I don't understand why those two are even connected.
Well, it may be something to do with the way they put people in Backstage and bring them back, that they can't hold the token to say you're allowed to unmute them. I don't know.
Or maybe they conceive that because Backstage is kind of a communication center for people who are, panelists, that you wouldn't want that or something. I don't know why they did it or why it works out.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how Backstage works, what it looks like, what the experience is? Have you played with it?
Not to a great degree, no. I could do it next time, but not this time.
I'd love to see it.
I've
never seen it.
I have an app where I can put 20 people into 20 pretend people in.
Yeah, I'd love to see that if you're open to it. That would be cool. Jason's asking if it's basically a breakout room for panelists.
Sort of, but it's you can watch the main show. You know how a host can speak into a breakout room? It's kind of the opposite. You, as a panelist in the backstage room or green room, whatever you want to call it, you have an awareness of what's going on in the show, so that when you get pulled back up onto the panel, you know what's been discussed while you were not on the panel.
Jason's also wondering if maybe the connection between not requesting mute or unmute privileges has something to do with the inability, if there is an inability, to mute or unmute in backstage? In fact, that's an interesting question. Can you mute and unmute and when you're, I mean, is it a breakout room essentially? I mean, do we have all the same controls?
Robert wants to know, why would you need to unmute mics in backstage?
Well, if I'm backstage and there's a lot of noise, there's a train going by, I may want to mute, just not to bother other people. I don't know.
But he said unmute.
Sorry.
Yeah. Why would you need to unmute mics in backstage? Why wouldn't you? What if you want to have a conversation with people?
And Robert was directing that to John.
Yeah, sorry. John.
What he said.
Back to you, Robert. Oh, that's right. You're in YouTube. Hi, Robert.
Oh, my Lord.
Maybe Tony's ready. Let's see what Tony has to say.
Oh, Tony. But with John, before Tony jumps in, please do if you're able to. I would love to see what backstage looks like.
I'm going to be doing a lot of playing around with backstage and sessions in the next week, and I'll give you a little sort of summary report sometime.
Thank you so much. That's great. Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Can you guys hear me today?
Yeah, you're back.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Okay. So I think I might have to speak directly into the mic. I didn't have to do this before, but apparently there's some kind of change that's taken place. So
You're
if
fine.
you guys,
Do you have Tony? Do you have original audio on
original audio
by chance?
on, yes.
Ah, well, that could be it because that will reduce the volume of your mic.
But his mic is good now.
No, I agree. Just in trying to identify what the issue was.
And if you still have original on, then that's probably not the issue since it's good now.
Oh, yeah.
1 2 1 2 1 2.
Oh, now it's worse.
Okay, it was actually off and I turned it on.
Is it off now?
It is off now.
We can hear you just fine. So
Yeah.
go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, so many of you know the Conversation with Tony Mobley has gone through a transition, and we're not using all the bells and whistles that we have been using in the past. So we're primarily using Mimo Live. One of the issues that has occurred with the one show that we've done with Mimo Live is that I am not able to see Mimo Live in my current setup as it is. So based on the recommendation from Dr. Idelson and Paul Wallace, I purchased the Poly Studio 21. I think I got it for $85.
Sorry, what? Can you just tell us what that is?
So it is a monitor that it has a built-in webcam. It has a simulation of a ring light, microphone, camera. It connects to Zoom, Teams, other devices as a unit in and of itself. It was originally not too long ago on B&H for $85 or $89 I got it for. And originally, I think when it first came out during the pandemic, it was over $600. So I have it in a box.
Is this what I'm looking at here, Tony?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, gotcha.
So I have it in a box in the bedroom, and I haven't opened it yet. So the issue for me is that I need to find a way to have a monitor to put next to my teleprompter so that it's not so obvious that I'm looking to my left where I have the multi-view out of the ATEM, and the Mimo Live is in port 2. I have a separate Mac Mini that has nothing on it but Mimo Live. And so right now it's in port 2 of my ATEM Mini Pro. And I would like to put it right next. I like to take my main monitor that I'm using right now and turn it on its side so that it will fit in my limited space, and use it in portrait mode for Mimo Live exclusively, and then take the Poly 21 and make that my main monitor for Zoom and everything else that I'm doing. So the issue is
real quick, can I ask you a question? The Poly has a built-in monitor? Because I'm not seeing that.
It is a monitor.
It's a screen. Look at Ray's frame.
Ray's, oh, okay. Ray, say something so you jump to the top here.
It's a total package. If you can see at the top, there's a little camera up here, and it's got lights on both sides and underneath, so it's lights you up. It's a beautiful piece. It's just not selling because of a number of things, not the least of which is no HDMI in or out. And
yeah, that's where I was going.
Yeah, you can't do that with this, Tony. I have a couple of these. Be careful about unboxing them, because boxing them back up is darn near impossible. So videotape you if you unbox it for whatever purpose.
It really doesn't look like it's designed to be rotated.
It's not. It's
no. I wasn't going to rotate that one. I was going to actually. Well, let me show you what I was trying to do. So I'm going to switch to my little webcam. And where is it? Okay. All right. So that's the teleprompter. And this is the open space right here where I was going to put this monitor. This is my main monitor. It's an HP monitor, and I can turn it on its side so that it operates in the portrait mode. So I was going to move it to this blank space next to the teleprompter.
You can do that.
Right. And so I was going to do that and then place the Poly 21 where this monitor is.
You might have the Poly signed in as on another meeting, and that way you'll be able to see whatever is being shown in group mode, but you can't control it, and you also wouldn't be able to send, which is what you should have in your teleprompter monitor. You should have the active speaker, so that you're looking at the active speaker when you're speaking. So I don't think Poly would do that. I have a Poly. It's nice, but won't work. Now there is something that will work, and it looks like.
Here we go. I know what's coming.
It looks like this, and this has a teleprompter in it. There's a 4K camera in it, and there's a sound system down below. You can plug in an XLR microphone. There's also video HDMI in and out. And if you're nice to Mr. Edelson, I think he's got a few of these after Zoomtopia that, no, actually they're all pledged, but that's the IV, and it's being introduced at Zoomtopia next week.
That's pretty slick looking.
How much?
It's going to retail about $1,400. It's a complete system. All you need to do is to plug in your computer. In this case, we have a little Nook computer in here. By the way, Asus has taken the NUC from Intel. Intel got out of the NUC business, but ASUS is doing it. And so with this little thing on there, it'll drive that and a separate screen if you want to have a screen next to it, or you could drive it from your laptop. But it is designed for eye contact, and it's fantastic. It was designed by a ophthalmologist in Perth, Australia, that we've partnered with, and we're going to see big things for this pretty soon. End of commercial, by the way. Thank you. But now back to your regular scheduled program.
Tony, I have a couple of questions. I'm understanding that the thing that you have still in the box is not going to allow input or output. What are you trying to accomplish with that? Because you don't need another microphone. You already have a microphone. You don't need another camera, I don't think. So all I think you're looking for is a monitor. Is that true?
Yes, that's all I need. The issue was that I purchased this, and my intent was to give it to an 80-year-old church parishioner. And so, because she comes in on a landline. So when I purchased it, the idea was that I was going to give it to her. She's in a senior citizens facility, but there is no internet. So because there's no internet, and I can't really request that her children or grandchildren pay for internet so that she can participate in the worship service, although I would like to. But that's not something I could do. So that was the intent when I purchased the device, because I wanted to get her off of the landline, because she's 80 years old, and she talks about, using her imagination to hear what we're doing in the worship service. And that, just cuts me when she says that. And so, because there wasn't any way that I could get her internet, other than me paying for it, and she's 90 miles away from me, so that wouldn't work. So it's still in the box, unopened, because I was trying to find a use case because I need another monitor. I need a monitor that is right next to the teleprompter so that I can see Mimo Live, because the last conversation with Tony Mobley, I was looking to my left where the multi-view out of the ATEM is.
Two things. One, I think that if you just go like to Best Buy and get a good monitor, it's on sale, it's not going to be too expensive, and that probably would solve your immediate problem for your desk. I really like your thought about how to use this device for someone, but maybe it's time to pass it on to somebody else instead of your 80-year-old parishioner. And here's my thought. If this was my congregation, is there anybody in your church or her church that is close enough that they could drive over before the service with their little laptop and get on, use their phone for a hotspot, get her on there, and then drive home? And she wouldn't have to learn how to use anything, and she'd have a little company, and phones work great for hotspots. So anyway, I know I'm being the organizer again.
I've kind of gone down this road, but she's not my mother. She's not my grandmother. And I am really sort of an outsider that is helping support the ministry technology wise. And so I had to pull back from coming in full blazes with the office hours mindset of let's do this and let's do this and let's do all of these things and make this fantastic and make sure everybody has their mic on and their cameras on. And I learned very quickly, and my wife pointed out to me, while I was kind of hitting my head against the wall from the standpoint of, it's not your church. And when that realization came into place, I recognized that I had to pull back and just support in the best way that I can. And, not to push buttons because, I'm a youngster amongst this congregation. And so the fact that we have 3 of the ministers using the aftershocks, bone connecting, I was able to get them to do that. I got 3 of them to do that. And 3 of them that come on camera and are, the camera is okay. And I would say for them, it's good enough. And good enough for them is fantastic. So, you have to learn, and this is the thing that I had to learn. Everybody is not office hours. Everybody's not Zoom test kitchen. And we cannot expect that everyday regular people would have the enthusiasm that we have. And so, like I said, it was, when this was presented, I just thought this would be this perfect solution for her. She's coming in on this landline. And then when I, investigated the idea of, she didn't have any internet and there wasn't, I had talked about, possibly providing her with a hotspot. And so I just wanted to see if I could, since it's in the box, unopened, see if I could figure out a way to implement it in my current setup. So I'm hearing you loud and clear that I just need to just go ahead and get another monitor and pass it on or sell it or give it away or something. I got it.
Lois, you said earlier that you were talking about simplicity versus complexity, and sometimes simplicity is the way to go.
Yep.
Right. There was a market.
You get as complex as you need to be to accomplish what you want to do. And you stay as simple as you can so that your complexity doesn't take over your life.
Yep. Yep.
Words of wisdom. Now, forever.
No doubt from someone who's also tried to help somebody that just didn't get it. I think we're all in that basket, but
Sure.
bless you, Tony, for reaching out and doing what you do.
Absolutely.
I've actually been on both sides of that. So, yeah. Good on you, Tony, for helping folks.
That's right. That's right. So we got, it's watching the clock here, it's about 4:37. I want to make sure we get spend a little bit of time on Zoomtopia that's coming up and what our hopes, our expectations are. We will be watching, for those of you who want, we'll be watching Zoomtopia here in the kitchen, or I will be watching Zoomtopia here in the kitchen. You're all welcome to join me here. It will be a second ear experience, so we're not gonna, I mean, we could stream it right in here. It's certainly public. We're not gonna send this up to YouTube or anything.
When's that?
It's October 3rd, Tuesday, October 3rd, 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Our regular meeting credentials and everything?
So, well, I don't know. I mean,
Will there be an email?
Well, it's if you, okay, wait a second. I guess I'm not clear on what you're asking. To just watch the keynote.
No, to come and hang out with you, find people.
Same thing. Just come here. Same thing. And yes, I will send an email. Yes, but it's the same Zoom room, same everything. And if we need to stream it in, I can stream it in. That's not a problem.
Say the time and say the time again.
It
please.
is Tuesday, this Tuesday, the 3rd, at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. I think that's 12 p.m. Eastern. And I have no idea what that means Zulu time. So they're not theme, but the tagline for the event is balance the future. So what does that mean?
Juggling, lots of juggling.
You guys have any ideas what that means? Balancing. So this is the, let me bring it up here. This is the image that they have for Zoomtopia. So yes, juggling or balancing. What do y'all think? What's it going to be? What do you think?
They're going to be playing the blues.
I don't know. If I had to guess on balancing, I would say it's about balancing in hybrid, in office versus digital work. I think that's where they're going. Frank.
I'm going to put a link in the chat if you want to share it as a screen share. I think it's illustrative of something.
Of something?
Well, I'll tell you when you share it, but this is basically Zoom's product line.
Not authorized.
Oh, sorry. I don't want to share. I just want David to share, but not authorized.
Right.
Oh, sorry. Well, David's showing it, I think, right? Are you?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's not the right link, so maybe I did a copy paste wrong. Sorry, let me try pasting again. Sometimes
So he wants me to show it. I'm guessing so that if anyone gets in trouble, it's me.
I don't think this is secret stuff. It's just their products, right? Anyways, so if that doesn't, okay, maybe can I share? Might be easier.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
All right, share screen. That one. Sorry about that. So you should be seeing their products.
I'm not authorized to watch.
There
to
we
read
go.
That.
All right, so I don't think this is top secret, but anyways, it's just the products they sell. When I look at this, each vertical, like so Zoom One, virtual meetings, team chat, they do VoIP, online whiteboards, conversational intelligence is pretty interesting, email calendar, virtual working spaces. I don't want to read them all, but when you get over to the right-hand side, I know that Zoom Test Kitchen, we mostly talk about meetings, the meeting tool. Sometimes we talk about webinars, and we don't talk about much else. We don't talk about the phones system or anything. Zoom's really expanded into things like contact centers and virtual agents and work engagement management. I think they're going to build on that side of the slide. I think they're going to do more business-to-business services and things. I think that's where their growth probably is forecasted. Especially, they're using AI in like the virtual sales agents and virtual support teams and stuff. I think they probably have gotten everybody who wants to be a Zoom One customer. You know, there'll be people coming and going, but I think we'll probably hear a lot more about these other areas. They may not be interesting to us, but I think for Zoom, it's an important way for them to make revenue.
Have you used the contact center at all?
No, never.
So Jason is saying that one of his clients uses Zoom Contact Center as a lobby receptionist. That's wild.
So we use a ticket system where I work. I do a lot of tech support, and there's an integration for Zoom, so that when you create a ticket, you can also put a Zoom meeting in the ticket. I could see lots of businesses looking at Zoom as a partner for those kind of tools. I'm sure Zoom meetings will evolve and keep having new features and AI, but I think part of Zoomtopia is going to be about stuff we probably don't think about or talk about very often, but it's definitely an important business consideration for Zoom, right?
I'm fascinated by when you said that you think. Oh, let me take the spotlight off. Sorry about that. When you said that you think everyone who wants a Zoom One has one.
I think after the pandemic, like people who found value in Zoom are going to stay with Zoom. There'll be some attrition as people come and go, but I mean, they've probably stabilized. They can probably forecast how many Zoom One customers they're going to have every year. So where do they get their growth? You know, Wall Street every quarter is do or die. You always have to have growth. So what's their growth model? Well, maybe it's marketing to other businesses, right? And becoming all these other things. You know, customer service centers and engagement centers. They also have they have analytics for coaching, so you can go into Zoom meetings as a salesperson or as a customer support person, and it scores you on how well you did your customer support or how well you did your sales. So they're doing all kinds of things that we don't talk about here at the Zoom Test Kitchen, right?
Yeah. What is? Well, go ahead, Lois. I'm sorry.
Maybe the way that they're going to get their money is having happy customers who continue to stay with them and occasionally buy a little bit more or a little bit more. Or maybe my meeting's going up to 500 now and I'll need to buy, so that selling the add-ons can be a revenue stream. I'm not sure that you always have to have more customers than you had the previous year in order to have more money than you had the previous year.
I think you can get your, I don't know, what's a Zoom One license cost a year, $200 or something. You know, making $200 at a time is a hard way to make money compared to getting GM or Ford or somebody to have your customer service center with 30,000 employees. That's a magnitude of scale that really creates profit for a company. And Zoom is a for-profit company. So, I mean, yes, Zoom meetings are a very important part. Webinars are important. But all these other areas are probably places they can really cash in.
And that's really what I was, sorry, I'll jump in, Mike.
No, what I was also going to say too is also the Zoom Phone product. We actually looked into that as well and compared between our current VoIP system that we currently have and Zoom's phone system, and they are a premium in Canada specifically. I could speak for, but I know that the Zoom Phone product is a premium to what we are currently paying for VoIP services that we have for the company. But again, if you're in the Zoom ecosystem as they call it, you might just take that extra add-on and get rid of that other third-party service, VoIP service, as an example for Zoom Phone, instead of, again, everything's in the app, right? You can make a Zoom call out of the Zoom app. So, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And for a business, if I'm having a meeting with you and it starts off as VoIP and then I decide, oh, this needs to turn into a video conference, you can do that with Zoom Phone. It's seamless. Like the whole ecosystem is meshed together, right?
Is the communication center piece of it, is that the killer feature?
I think the suite, the suite of tools for businesses, do all your business, just like they gave us the calendar and they gave us email. They're giving businesses a way to do a holistic approach to things, right? Like a whole business model where everything you do, Zoom can help you do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And again, if what I've done is I've actually taken a look at some of the, I've participated in some of the training Zoom webinars that Zoom offers weekly, if not monthly. And again, they go through some of the different packages or add-ons, as Lois was saying, that you could actually add to your either pro, business, or enterprise, et cetera, accounts. And again, there's a lot of functionality as they keep adding new add-ons to what they're doing currently as the actual Zoom client. And again, Frank's right. We don't even use a small portion of it when we talk about the Zoom here in the Zoom Test Kitchen. Only the Zoom meeting is our main focus, if not Zoom meeting or Zoom events. But again, there's also Zoom Phone. There was Zoom Mail, Zoom Calendar, which you can incorporate either a Gmail account. I know I've tested that, works fairly well. Or you could actually get a Zoom email account with a Zoom email address. and they were offering that for free for a little bit. I'm not sure if that's still free or not. Frank, you might be able to help me on that one or not. But when it comes to Zoom Phone, they've added that recently. And again, what Frank was talking about as well, there's the contact center, which is basically you could take your whole tech support system of being able to do remote tech support of, let's say you're an IT-based company and you are managing other people's computers or other software on other people's computers. Zoom has already figured out basically how to be able to virtually log in, if I'm not mistaken, remembering that webinar, virtually log in through the Zoom client to that person's PC and actually do remote support. So that again takes away from another third-party service of you having to get a virtual way to get into that physical machine as the customer is having a problem. And again, it could be based on how you are running your current IT company. And it also could be how you're based on how you are doing the support as well. So if there's a support of, you can open a ticket. So they have a ticketing system. And again, as Frank was talking about as well, they also have the sales system where you could actually do sales training. And you could actually, of course, using the Q&A and such, you could actually quiz your salespeople. And Frank, will it go as far as certifying them as well? I think there was a certification process too.
Possibly. I haven't looked into that deeply because it doesn't really resonate with me. So for most of us, we're going to care about what Zoom's going to tell us, the new toys and bells and whistles we're going to get, and we're all going to get something. I'm sure we're going to get, we're going to get the roadmap for the next year. So we were just talking about Zoom Huddle. That was, I think, released or announced at Zoomtopia last year, and it's still in beta. But I mean, a lot of the things they said in the last Zoomtopia did come out and did come to fruition. And I think we'll get a sense of the roadmap, and we aren't going to get everything the day after Zoomtopia ends, but we'll get a sense of what's coming, and it'll be an evolution and maybe not a revolution, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, back to you, David.
Microsoft doing the same with Teams. I can't stand Microsoft. I can vouch for Teams. I actually tried to get into a Teams meeting this week, and I actually broke, as I think I told this to Frank, but I think I actually broke my rule of 3 strikes you're out. It actually took me the 4th time before I could actually get into the Teams call, and it was just horrible.
Let's try it this way, David. What do you want Zoom to give you at Zoomtopia? What's the thing if you could have anything and they were going to make it real within reason, what would you ask them to make for Zoom meetings? What's missing? What do you want?
So the challenge is, it's not just, can Zoom give me what I want? Because what I'd love is, I'd love the all-in-one suite is what I'd like. I'd like for Zoom to take the pieces of Google that have become just indispensable to my work, Google Docs, Google Drive, those pieces with built-in collaboration, nice, clean, simple. I'd love for all of that to be integrated. But, and this is a big but, none of that matters if everyone isn't using it and familiar with it. I'd love to swing over to Zoom Chat, but I don't, because nobody that I know uses Zoom Chat. And getting people to use Zoom Docs as opposed to Google Docs, I think that's a heavy lift. So there are lots of things they could give me. It's a little bit like Huddles. I love Huddles. I'm glad they gave me access to it. I have no one to huddle with. And so it really doesn't matter. It's sort of like that, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Well, if I'm not there to hear it, who cares? I didn't hear it.
Well, that's fair. Is there something anyone who's still in the meeting wants? Is there something anyone's got a burning desire? They hope Zoomtopia gives them the exact Christmas present or Hanukkah present or whatever they've been waiting for?
Come on,
folks. I have a few things I want, but I don't know what you guys want.
This is your chance to ask for whatever you want. My Zoom wish, Jason says. to take the average camera feeds I get from other panelists and dress it up without third-party software or hardware. That's interesting, Jason, because on the one hand, yes, what Zoom does with audio, for example, the way it cleans up audio is fantastic until you don't want Zoom to step all over your audio, which I understand, by the way, is 0.1% of the people using Zoom. But for that 1.1%, Zoom stepping all over your audio is more of a hassle than it is a blessing. Hybrid, simple to roll. Sorry, go ahead.
Depends on how you want to dress it up. I mean, we've already got little hats you could put on the head.
Well, I assume, Jason, forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but I assume you mean, making
Improve
it nice,
the quality.
Yes, improve.
Yes.
Right. I will say, if it's more virtual backgrounds and things like that, that's a hard no for me. But clapping override button for sound settings. What's a clapping override button for sound settings, John?
Well, it's quite simple. You get to the second clap and it's background noise and it's muted.
Oh,
It
so
depends on your
So I would
on
like
your
a button to
choice
say
of,
I'm allowed clapping, and then people can clap and it doesn't mute it, and then I take it off.
but you can change the level of your suppression.
No, but he wants to control the level of other people's suppression, right? That's interesting, right? So there's a button that essentially turns on original audio for everyone for a period of time, so that everyone can clap. That's interesting. Yeah.
Because that's the sort of thing you can get interactions with, clapping. I mean, I've on my desk setup, I've got all these laughing and joking and all these types of sound effects that the people are generating, but they are suppressed as background noise.
Are you talking about suppressed on your computer and recording, or are you talking about you want to control what I hear?
I want to control the whole group. So I do a lot of Toastmasters meeting. I do a lot of meetings of 50, 60, 70 people. We have speakers and everybody starts going, and you hear the first and the rest is all suppressed. Somebody laughs. You hear the murmur at the beginning of the laugh, the rest of it suppressed. All those sort of audience reactions are suppressed, and there's no way to jump into people's computers and turn that all off for them. And that's what would be lovely, to have an audience suppression button so that the audience can interact, and then you release the button and all normal service is resumed, so the background noises are lost again. I think that's worth $1 million.
So John, this would be above and beyond adding audio to the reactions button that's currently in meetings. So what my thought would be so if you did choose like the clap reaction, right? That actually would send an audio of somebody clapping. Would that take it to that next level enough? Or would you still want more?
Then
I would want more, but I have done
suppress
that.
It.
I have done that. I have done sound effects based on the icons. Yes.
But the Zoom still suppresses it.
If I generate the sounds based on the icons, then it doesn't suppress it because I have control over my one. But if Mike wants to clap because he thinks I'm actually funny, which is highly unlikely, but in the event that he did, I can't stop him losing that clap because of sound suppression. And the average user is not going to know. And the average user is not going to know how to turn that on and off when they need it. And that's why you need an override.
Does when you go to share screen, but you don't actually share screen, but you share sound, that little button back there, does that override the suppression?
No.
Yeah. There's no suppression on shared audio because it's a digital file. It's not a microphone. I think
that's what I was thinking.
John's probably using let's say virtual audio cables or some sort of thing like that, where he's pumping in sound from like his computer or another computer or some device as sound that ends up going out as part of his audio mix that Zoom considers his microphone, right?
Yeah, every microphone input you have, you've got to go in and change the sound suppression if you want to use it. But if somebody else on another Zoom device in another country starts clapping, then they're going to be suppressed. If you're lucky, you get the first clap, and then after that, it's suppressed.
Yes, I understand that. But what I'm saying is there a way around it by using the shared sound?
Yeah,
from
you
the
have to have your
computer,
own set of sound effects.
and then yours would be, whatever you said would be available because it's not a microphone.
Yeah, I have a set of Stream Deck buttons with various types of clapping and laughing, and I have to work out which one to send.
So that means you're the only one who has reactions.
Yes, but what I do is I work on the reactions that other people send, and then I react to their reactions on the screen, like Mike did clapping just now, and I will react to those and hit the button, and then the clapping will appear. And sometimes when people start doing that, they do that, I will do the clapping buttons, because again, it generates the atmosphere of applause and makes people more engaged.
Yeah, the suggestion that I was giving was basically if they should actually add audio to the actual reaction icon that shows up as also an audio. Yes, it would be a little disturbing if multiple people did set it off at multiple times, but I don't know, that's sort of, it's the same as if you were in the crowd anyways, because people do start clapping at different times as well. So.
No other wishes?
Oh, I have a whole list, but I mean,
Give us like the top two, Frank. What do you want?
I got to be careful because some of these I've negotiated with Zoom about. So one thing I think a lot of educational institutes, but I think it would have great benefit for anybody in a Zoom meeting, is the ability for two of us to step out into a breakout room without disrupting the whole meeting and without having to go through. So like a personal one-on-one side meeting where maybe I needed to clarify something with a participant in the meeting.
And why can you not do that now with?
You can,
breakout
but it would be, breakout rooms are more like organized where you would have groups of people doing things. This would be just you and me stepping out of the meeting for a second and everyone else goes merrily on. Or same thing with maybe, how you can have a private chat. Maybe we could have private audio between the two of us that nobody else heard. Things of that nature that facilitate a lot of different kinds of events that happen where maybe I need to have a side meeting or a quick comment with you that nobody else hears, and I don't want to do it in chat because it's too much to type or something. There's many other things I can think of too, though.
Does that sound like a huddle to you?
It would be an in-meeting huddle, not a huddle that David was showing.
Yeah, my example that Frank is talking about would be easily that, you and your friend are in an actual physical event where you're in a physical web presentation, and then all of a sudden you and your buddy want to chit chat for a couple seconds. You step out of the room, you chit chat, get that conversation quickly over and done with, then you go back into the meeting. So it's sort of
exactly.
You're not physically leaving the building. You're literally just stepping outside in the hall.
You're at a symposium in a ballroom or something, and me and Mike run out into the hallway real quick to gossip about something. Then we come back to the main. We don't stop the meeting.
What does the interface to that look like? Like, how do you imagine that?
I don't know. Right clicking on your name and inviting you to step out for a second or something of that nature, right?
Or putting a link into a private message that one can click on to.
Sure. I think, there's a lot of things you can do by clicking on someone's name in their square. I think they could just add, the 3 dots, they could just add another menu item there.
So they actually have, so I mentioned before in huddles, it's not really in huddles, but in your contact card, you can, if someone is in a conversation in a huddle, that where they are is part of their status now in their contact card. And so I wonder if there could just be another one there saying, you know, I don't know, if it could be added to the contact card, I guess is where I'm going. Lois, did you want to jump in?
What do you want, Lois? What do you want them to give you next week?
When we're done with this, then I have another topic, a short topic.
But
All right.
Before we move, tell us something you want them to give you next at Zoomtopia. What would you like to get?
I'm not going to Zoomtopia, and B,
Oh no, but
I have so much of what Zoom does already. It's like walking into the Library of Congress when all you want is a dictionary. A little overwhelming.
so a simplified interface.
No, I'm happy with what
Just
it
the way
is.
it is.
I need for me to learn more stuff, but I don't need them to give me anything else. Thank you, guys.
Anyone else? Wishes for Zoomtopia? And then we'll see if it all comes true on Tuesday. Frank, we need a bingo card for all of the things that you want so we can check them off.
I know some of the things I want are coming. I've had lots of conversations with Zoom and they're coming, but they're not ready yet. So, and I can't really talk about some of them.
Understood. Well, we will. I just scheduled an email to go out on Monday to remind you all, and it'll be in the Facebook group also and in Discord that we will be watching together, and we'll be playing Frank Bingo to see what he gets. More dedicated hardware, possibly. All right, the floor is yours to wrap us up, Lois. What do you got?
Right. So this is actually a floor sort of discussion. I would like to make a suggestion for the way that Zoom Test Kitchen is run and structured. And I think it would be a wonderful thing if when we first got in and started saying hello and doing our stuff, if there would be a time when you could say, now, what topics do people have? What questions are you going to want to answer just briefly so that we know that there's these 6 topics coming up and people can know ahead of time what it is that's going to be talked about. So
couldn't we do that in Discord?
This is not an action item. Well, no, I was thinking so that the viewers and listeners could know what the heck's coming up too.
You know,
they should all join Discord too, though.
That's right. No, I love that idea, Lois. I love that idea, but I'm going to ask for your help because I'm not going to remember to do it. So I won't make. But can you help us do that, even if you join a few minutes late? I think I'm right there with you. I often will put together a list of things that I want to talk about only because I want to make sure we have enough to have a meaningful conversation. I don't care about filling 2 hours, but a meaningful conversation. But as John says, we need Lois AI we have to add this to our action items. You know what? If we add it to our action, hey, wait a second. What just happened? Did you guys see that?
You have gesture recognition turned on.
Yeah, the AI thought you were doing good.
There's other ones too.
Wait, but I've never seen that before.
Do something for me. Make the peace symbol for about 3 seconds. You have FaceTime 17 camera effects happening. This is a new iPhone 12 and up and iOS 17 and Sonoma. Are you on Sonoma?
It's Sonoma.
You have it in Sonoma. It's a new FaceTime features from Apple.
Okay, sorry. Zoom. I just upgraded this computer and I was not expecting that.
I was seeing a bunch of complaints about this because people were doing therapy sessions and they accidentally made a peace sign and balloons were coming up and they were talking about their dead dog or whatever they were talking about. And people were very upset about this and blaming Zoom. And I was like, it's not Zoom, it's Apple.
Yeah, I can turn it on and off now. I see. So by the way,
it's in Control Center.
Yeah, actually
called Reactions.
More than just Control Center. So right up at the top here,
yep.
Whenever you are using whenever you're in a session or whatever, you'll get this this guy right here. It was green before. I'm not sure why it isn't now. And if you click on that, let me click on something else. See if it, no. If you click on that, this is your, I don't know what they call it, but you've got all your cameras here, and here are your reactions.
Reactions, overlays, there's a
turn them
bunch of
off.
stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Studio light, portrait. Yeah, in any case.
So to go back to Lois's idea, like perfect reason to use Q&A. If we get
That's true.
17 of these ideas proposed, we could vote up the ones, if you want to be democratic about it, we could vote them up and then say, we've only got an hour and a half. We're not going to get through 17. Let's vote on the ones and see which ones get the most votes, and we'll spend our time on those ones.
So
We
I
could
will.
use a note, and the notes will be persistent from meeting to meeting.
We
So
could use
next
Q&A.
time
We
were
could use
here,
a note.
we could have notes.
Actually, that's actually not a terrible conversation. Which of these tools? When is what tool most appropriate? For what we want to try and do. If you're creating an agenda for a meeting, I know there's an app for that, but would Q&A be the best way to do that? Would notes be the best way to do that? That in and of itself is actually an interesting question to me.
Let's put it on the list for next week.
Yes, but point well taken, Lois. Really, I appreciate that. So, folks, we are. Yeah, I'm going to call it for today because I have to go pick up shoes for my daughter because she needs shoes.
Shoes are good.
Shoes are good, but I hope that. Oh God, I was going to try and reference what I said earlier without laughing, but I can't do it. So I'm just not.
Just give us one more peace sign before you go. I want to see those balloons.
I think I turned it off though.
Oh, no, balloons. Yay. It's a happy time for all of us.
Hold on.
We're celebrating the new shoes.
I mean, I can do you one better than that. I mean, I can. If
very nice.
Yeah, I could really kind of go crazy here if you want. But that's not in Zoom or Apple. In any case, guys, thank you all so much, and guys and gals, thank you all so much for being here. This is a blast, and I learned so much every week. We will be together if you want to join us on Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern to watch the keynote, and then next Friday to see what we learned, what we got, and what the best tool is to decide what we're going to talk about. So that's that.